I would like to procure the bag.
I wanna be a rich bitch. Penthouse doorman, money, 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 rich bitch. Hey, give me that bag. Rich bitch. Yes. You're so rich.
Pay me.
Hi.
Oh my God, hi. Oh my God, hi.
Oh my God, I'm wet. I just got out of the shower. I look terrible. Oh no.
But you know, she's looking a captain, femme and fierce.
Straight Captain Extraordinaire.
Right.
I was almost late for this because I just got back from the gym and I wanted to like wash my like athleisure like liner shorts that I wear.
For a second, I thought you were gonna say I wanted to wash my ass.
I wanted to wash my ass.
I don't need to know anything.
I mean, I wanted to wash that too. But
yeah, of course.
I also like don't dry clean all my work shirts every week. I barely do it once a month. I usually just wash them and hang dry them. But like I just wore one this week, so I threw it in the shower with me. And while I was washing it, I also was peeing in the shower because that's the thing that we do. You know, like that's a guy thing, guys. Ask Mike. I swear to God, he definitely pees in the shower.
Probably not when he's in the shower. Okay. Anyway, when he's by himself, maybe, but not
100%. But like, I had my shirt in front of me, and I didn't realize I was peeing on my shirt.
Are we really starting it? Like
I guess so. And I was just like, well, I'm gonna burn this now, and we're done here.
Yeah, I guess you know the title of this one will be like, he's peeing on his clothes
Peeing
in the shower. How are you doing?
I mean, that kind of just sums up this year for me. Peeing in the shower. How are you doing? I'm picturing like me naked in the shower with like a cocktail, just like staring off into space, like peeing, just like letting the water run over me.
Oh, it's 2:30 in the afternoon.
This is not the time.
Aesthetic. This is really like, this is so iconic. Wow. Okay.
I mean, really,
it sounds like you've had a busy day.
We've had a busy day, but also like, I mean, listen, that episode that we recorded last night, null and void. Like we can't use it anymore because things are moving so quickly. We need to do an addendum,
I guess. I don't even know what to do. Like,
I don't even know what to do. Because things are like literally last night, like the episode that we recorded, which is going to go up in 2 weeks, which now doesn't even matter. Like they released all of the specifications and stipulations in the negotiation for the WGA agreement with the AMPTP, and it's incredible. It's not up to the bar that they originally pitched the AMPTP, but like it is very, very much higher. Much higher.
It's much higher. It's much better than
originally came back. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I was reading over it this morning and I was just like, what in the world? Like not where we set the bar, but very, very, very close. It's great.
Yeah, no, extremely close. And I think that this was the contract to hold out for. I commend them for holding out this long for this shit, because honestly, what a payoff. What an absolute payoff. It just shows that if you keep fighting the power, incredible things can happen. I mean, even today at our strike, which we'll get to, there were a lot of leaders talking about how people aren't talking about it enough, but like the nurses got what they needed from their strike. You know, there's so many instances of like UPS, there's so many instances of like these companies that went on strike and then got exactly what they asked for because they wouldn't do it anymore. So I think we're just on a roll, y'all. I think labor is like, sorry, get your shit together.
And not that I'm paying attention in the same way that someone who is a nurse would be paying attention, but I didn't see any of that in headlines. And like, you know, I do read like labor related headlines on purpose. I love talking about it. I think it's an interesting conversation across the board, especially in the climate that we're in. And I didn't see anything about it.
I know.
And now like the WGA thing is like on every headline of every single thing everywhere. And I wish that I agree. Good. But I also wish that the nurses would have gotten the same visibility. I wish UPS got the same kind of visibility.
I agree. And you know what kind of hits me there is like, it just shows that even though we are labor and we're everything, we still are part of the Hollywood system. We're still part of the media system. And I feel like our strike, you know, the union, the strike between the joint one between the writers and the you know, the actors, I think was just so publicized. And I think I think that shows that like, it's not that people don't care about nurses. It's that nurses don't like have the PR, don't do the PR that we do. We are literally an image union. Like we're like, hi, I'm an actor. Like I literally have a publicist. Do you know what I mean? Like you need these things. So
well,
like,
and
I feel like they don't have that.
Well, no, I mean, of course not, because no one's like going to a hospital to watch nurses do their jobs, you know, like unless you have a vested interest in becoming one or you're playing one on
Truly.
TV. But like, you
Truly.
know, it really is kind of, I guess, a no shit kind of moment for myself to realize like, oh yeah, of course, the Hollywood machine that has the marketing, the publicists, the PR, the
Right.
agents, like it's such a massive industry that affects so many people beyond the 160,000 members of SAG-AFTRA, beyond the however many thousands of members of WGA. You know, like there's so many other industries that are affected by this. I mean, IATSE, I meant to mention this last night, but IATSE is still working without a contract. They had a tentative agreement, but it was never codified. So like we don't know what's going on with them. They're still working without a contract. So there's so much more work to do.
They're going to strike down the line. Yeah, there's a lot of work to do. And I think, look, if they don't get what they need, then they might. But I think producers have to understand, like, it's only going to get harder for you the more you push away from labor. No one here is asking for anything that is insane. I assure you. If you look at, I mean, literally, it's like, it's one of those things where like, well, what are they asking for? It's like, it reminds me of, and this is not a great analogy, but it reminds me of women are like, are saying me too about some guy. A lot of times, almost every time, I'd say 99.9, they're not making it up. This does not help them. It's literally just like something that happened, and it's almost like putting them in the front of like the cameras and everything to rehash and talk about how they're not getting their just. Now, it's the same thing with labor unions. A lot of these unions aren't us actors, and they don't want to have cameras on them. They literally just want to get paid like a living wage, and why would they bullshit that? They're not here to fucking ruin how things are going. They're here to actually get paid because things are already ruined. Let's unruin that shit. It's ridiculous. Yes. Like auto workers are not here to be like, look at me, I make, an assembly line, or I construct, or I craft, or I design the things that everyone here has and drives, other than New Yorkers because we ride in public. But you know what I mean? Like they're not here to be like us, where we're like, look at us strike.
Oh my God, look at my, where's my assembly line red carpet?
Where's my assembly line? But like, that's what I mean. It's like, they're not, so any negative response I see online, I'm like, so what are they really about? Think like, why would they want to be doing this and not working and walking out of their offices and walking out in the cold in the street and walking all everywhere? And honestly, the auto workers have been doing it 24/7. There's like, they do it, like,
have a rotation.
You're outside all day and they're on rotation. They're not like us, where we come in the morning right when they're approaching offices, and we strategically are just there on a time of day in the morning till the afternoon. They're doing it all day, every day. I mean, they're in it to get it. I'm impressed with them. But that's what I mean. I just think anyone who's like listening to this that has like any anti-union sentiment, I understand there's been some, maybe you had a bad experience with something or you feel a certain way, but especially during this movement of this year, I'd say every union that's coming out in frustration for the labor has wonderful things that they're asking for that aren't too much, that are not against what they need and what they deserve, especially considering all their bosses make millions and billions and millions of dollars off their backs continuously. So yeah. So, and I agree that the nurses, damn, they stopped. They were like, hey,
damn girl,
I'm getting mistreated as fuck. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, time wise, can you imagine? I mean, look at our ER nurses, look at our nurses in triage and in the ICU. And there's just such a need. These are literally the people that save our lives. Why are we not treating them
like fucking gold?
Living wage.
Listen, right before shutdown, my little sister was in nursing school to be a nurse, and she was like, I think 2 credits away. And what ended up happening to a lot of people in her class, where they were like, fuck the credits, we need you in this hospital, come here now. And what ended up happening was her husband was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and she had to drop out of school to take care of him. And then the following week, everything shut down. And she was like, oops.
Yeah.
And then like, it's her birthday today, so I'm gonna say this is like a shout out, happy birthday, girl. Because we're gonna post this probably tomorrow as a bonus episode for what we didn't say yesterday. But she's a paralegal now, like, she's so smart. She like went from being a nurse to a paralegal. Like, how dare you? So she avoided having that career in nursing. And part of it, I mean, I'm so glad, because part of it is like Florida. She's in Florida. Like, Florida during that period of time was so scary. And then we saw how it was here in New York.
Oh,
And
terrible here.
the fact that we are even questioning whatever the nurses are asking, like from like a boots on the ground, and I mean that from like a labor standpoint, like we're just normal working people here, like give them whatever the fuck they want. Like they've been through
seriously,
they've been through the equivalent of war trauma over the last couple of years. Just pay them whatever. I don't care what it is. If they want $500,000 a year, give it to them. Don't pretend you don't have it, you for-profit hospital. I remember one time looking at one of my hospital bills from when I was in the hospital with cancer, and they were charging me $120 for Q-tips that I was not allowed to use in my room because I wasn't allowed to like put things in my ear because of my low blood counts. $120 for Q-tips that I never touched. It was just to have them in the room. You know, so like, please do not tell me that a private hospital doesn't have enough money to pay a nurse $500,000 a year. Go fuck yourself.
Need to make cuts. Okay, well maybe
charge $60 for Q-tips instead of 120.
You're gonna be fine.
No,
it's one of those things. Like, they deserve the attention. They didn't get it, but they are now. I'm at the thing today. It was pretty amazing. We had a band there that followed every chant that I was saying. They would just make it work. It was so cool. Me and Avis Boone, shout out to Avis on the board. She's also one of our negotiators. But yeah, it was the UAW Solidarity Picket, so United Auto Workers Solidarity Picket, but it was hosted by SAG-AFTRA. It also featured WJA members, the New York locals, IATSE. I mean, everybody kind of came down. It was really a great unifying thing. It was a very New York thing. You know, we had New York local presidents from the auto industry. We had our president, Ezra Knight, our New York president, who was on my slate. Love the boo-boo. One of my favorite peeps. We had him speak. We also had the comptroller, the city comptroller, and we had representatives from our state government come down. So honestly, it was really cool and really and amazing to hear. The WGA East Prez was there.
Oh, lovely.
It was wonderful. He literally reiterated what we've been discussing, that yes, they got their thing, but they stand in solidarity with SAG-AFTRA until we get ours. And I think that, to me, that just means, like, I don't know, to me, that just means they are standing with us and they anticipate that we must be getting some sort of agreement soon. The AMPTP has to sit with us, though. We await their call. Their people can call our people. I mean, truly. Last night, I think it was last night, SAG-AFTRA shared a thing which I felt was just so great. SAG-AFTRA's social media is always really good. They're always just like, let's just be real. About 13 hours ago, to our members, at this time, we have no confirmed dates scheduled to meet with the AMPTP. When we do have dates confirmed, we'll inform you. Unless you hear from us, it is hearsay. So, but they are basically like, your move, bitch. We literally... I mean, especially after, and that came out right after all the stuff came out about what the contract was. This was like this morning at like what, 2 a.m? I don't even know. Well, this might've been midnight last night. I think that came out last night at some point, like later.
It was 12:01 was when the official strike was over. Someone had already texted me
about it, but I was like nervous to look, and they didn't give me any information. And then you texted it to me and we're like, fuck. And I was like, no, please no. And you're like, I'm like, what is it?
No, it's really good. It's really good. It's really good.
And I was like, okay, I'll look. I was just like, really, I trust in the WGA. They're even scrappier than we are. We're just a bunch of big sillies. And I know I love my actors union. We are very strong. We're very thing, but I feel like the WGA is scrappity scrap. They did it for 170 something days or some shit. I mean, come on, man.
I think it was 148.
So yeah, I knew they weren't going to say yes to anything. What's up?
148-day strike is what this says.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's more, maybe more, but
I'm looking at the negotiation agreement right now, and it says 148. It feels like 170. That's for sure.
I think their longest one ever was 170 a long time ago. But yeah, You're right. I think it's probably 140.
Okay.
We hit over 80, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go over this. Like, let's really quick do a line item by item thing. I'm going by CB Acting Studio posted the WGA negotiations tentative agreement September 25th, 2023. I'm gonna list off. You have this in your Instagram inbox if you want to check this out and kind of ping pong with me here. But we'll do what the WGA proposed, what the AMPTP countered, and then what we agreed on. And the first item is minimums. We had asked for a 6%, 5%, 5% for all minimums, including residual bases. AMPTP came back with 432. One-time increase to residual bases of 2% or 2.5%, and what we landed on was 5, 4, 3.5. For most minimums, select residual bases and minimums get lower increases and or single increases, which is great. So basically what that means is that instead of getting what they proposed, a 2 to 4% one-time increase on your residual, you're getting a 3.5 to 5%, I think, if I'm understanding this correctly. Residual minimum, which is great.
No, that's good. I mean, I think it's really interesting, especially since, you know, I remember their offer back, and this will carry on and everything. They always said, this is our final offer, don't even think it's going to be different. And then here we are. That was in May 1st. Here we are. June, July, August, September, almost October
27th.
So I guess it wasn't your final, and I guess they hung out.
Okay.
So, cool. Love that.
So I'm looking at features now.
Yeah.
The original was for streaming features with a budget of 12 million or more receive full theatrical terms, including better initial compensation and then residuals. AMPTP said only for programs 96 minutes or more with a budget of 40 million or more receiving a 9% increase to initial compensation and no improvement in residuals. So that's still those pennies per paycheck that they're getting, you know, like more upfront, but then shit on the back end. And what we ended up settling on, which is absolutely incredible, is programming 96 minutes or higher with a budget of 30 million or more, so 10 million less than AMPTP came back with, receive an 18% increase in initial compensation, 100,000 for story and teleplay, and a 26% increase in residual base, combined with foreign residual improvements over a 3-year residual of $216,000 for projects on the largest streaming services. That is breathtaking. Huge. When I read that, I was like, Jesus fuck.
No, truly, Jesus fuck.
It's great.
Because it's wonderful, because this is the thing that they insisted wasn't possible, something they could never, ever do. What are you talking about? Never. Don't touch your residuals, bitch. Shut up. Residual this. And now here they are. So get that in your pipe and smoke them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And especially like I like how they've divided it. And honestly combined with foreign residual improvements too. So
that's incredible. Well, and the next item in this line is like the second step. WGA was asking require a second step if hired for a screenplay for less than 250% of the minimum. And AMPTP just flat out rejected it. Flat out rejected. And so now we have required a second step if hired for a screenplay for 200%, which is better for WGA, or less if what is this? Of minimum or less also applies to purchases of screenplays. So that's more money for writers, which is great.
That's so wonderful. And even in the next step, the weekly pay, 50% pay upon commencement and remaining 50 to be paid out weekly over the writing period. So like, that's what they wanted. They just rejected it flat out, and they refused to even make a counter. And then the response finally, then during this agreement that they got, now they're getting literally 50% pay upon commencement, 25 pay 9 weeks after commencement, and invoice 25% of delivery. So, I mean, it only applies to the writers paid 200% of minimum or less. So it's like, it's really nice.
Yeah,
it's really much better.
Yeah,
it's actually something.
It's really something.
Yeah. Minimums for streaming.
Yeah.
So I mean, basically, well, I was just gonna say that basically they came back with like It doesn't really apply streaming other than, comedy variety programs. And if it's like if it's 700,000 for 30 minutes, no aggregate. So it's like, it's not gonna do that. But I like how it's completely changed.
Yeah,
It
100%.
applies to high budget ones, and audience and non-dramatic shows made for SVOD, and 13-week guarantees an aggregate for compensation. So I completely flippity flopped on that. So I love that.
I'm a
Yeah.
little confused about the next one after this. So I don't know. I think this still falls under the appendix, and maybe this is just an extension of what, because the next cell is blank.
Yeah,
it is. It totally is. Got it. So it's basically just a breakdown of higher budgets, different kinds of budgets, and what the pay breakdown is.
So they actually listened to the writers who would know, based on budget, how much they should be getting based on the work that they put in. And they listened and they really spelled it out. And honestly, I'm a big fan of contracts that are very itemized and explain a lot of things, because things can get silly in between the lines, as you have noticed from the AMPTP in the past. Let's make it specific so they're not able to weasel their way out of something, which they've tried to do repeatedly over and over again. So yeah, just specificity. The TV weekly compensation. So what they wanted was rates of staff writers and story editors, executive story editors by 6%, 5%, 5%, and establish a new writer producer tier. Oh, weekly rate 25%. So they said a lower percentage, really 432. And they said the weekly rate though of the writer producer is 2 to 7% above the senior executive. No. So instead of 25, they wanted 2. So anyway, they came back with 5435. And they also came back with a 10% essentially. And they rates will apply to new seasons that start 60 days after ratification. So I like that they're after ratification. So it does seem like even with this interim agreement, like it's still obviously, and again, I think we said this last episode that we may scratch, that things have to be ratified before by the body before this is official. But yeah. The development room, they literally wanted 25. They said 5, and guess what? They got 25%. In the dev room. The development room is huge. That's how things are made. That's how storylines are put together.
And they were going to give 5% premium for development room weekly services. That's such bullshit.
It's fucked.
You want to do a fifth of what we were asking? Make our show that's going to make us millions and millions of dollars, and we'll give you just a 5%, little baby.
Here, have a cheese sandwich. You're at Fire Fest.
Right, like Fire
Yeah,
Fest.
it's just fucking assholes.
Oh, what that dude's coming back. That dude's coming back for more.
I can't. That dude is a sociopath.
I know. He's out of jail now, and he's trying to do the same shit all over again.
Help.
Another episode for another day.
No. He seriously. Oh my god, we should go into a Firefest episode. I loved that whole documentary when that one guy was like, "I will suck your dick," I guess. Remember that one?
I know I know. Yeah, they're doing that again. I can't. But this, I love this next item, the script fees. This was something that has been agreed on since May. So they're just saying staff writers receive a script fee on top of their weeklies. So that has been agreed. So great. No change.
I'm glad we all can do that. I doubt they said yes originally, but I'm glad as of May they said yes. That's great.
Well, that's what I meant, as of May 1st.
Yeah. Pilot and backup script premium for HBS VOD and HBA VOD. I'm not sure the difference, but they wanted the percentages: 150 pilot premium, 115 backup script premium, apply for HBS VOD. They agreed upon it, but now they've agreed upon it to both ways things are given out. So that's cool.
That's great.
So they got everything.
Yeah.
The next
preserving the writers room. This was such a controversial conversation. One. Yes. So pre-greenlight rooms, meaning before a show has been greenlit to go. Minimum staff of 6 writers, including 4 writer producers, and then after greenlight is 1 writer per episode up to 6 episodes, then 1 writer required for each 2 episodes after 6 up to a max of 12. And this was fully rejected from the beginning, and then they refused to counter. Yeah, they didn't even bother to be like, well, how about this? They were just like, no, bitch, No.
No.
But now, Sarah, if you'd like to take the wheel.
But now, so if development room is 3 or more writers and convene, minimum staff of 3 writer producers is required. So that's 1 less than the 4 they asked, but it's absolutely adhering to what we said. Development rooms 20 weeks or longer. The first season minimum staff size of 3 writer producers. Subsequent seasons minimum staff size is based on anticipated episode order. So they actually get specific again. So up to 6 episodes, 3 writers, 7 to 12, 5, 13 plus 6. So it's 3 writer producers. The staffing terms apply to seasons where the first episode is written after the 1st of this December. So yeah, I see how why they're probably like, we're gonna wait till the actors get their shit
together. Yeah,
we'll get all our shit in December. But that's like such a specific detailed thing. That was something they weren't even like to get what they've got is so incredible, because they were not even willing to talk about it. They were like, yeah, love that for you. Yeah, like, love that for you. Good luck with that.
But also, I'm speculating now, looking at this breakdown more closely, if we're going to start seeing an influx of shows that only have 6 episodes, like mini series kind of things, in order to save money here. Because, like, of course, this always happens. You give someone the option to do a cheaper option, they're going to take the cheaper option. So I'm curious if we're going to start seeing 6 episodes or less kind of across the streamers.
Well, I have seen, even before all this strike shit, we have seen an increase in one-time anthology series that are 10 or less started to become more the thing, as opposed to like the 20-something episodes or even the 12 to 13.
God, remember those days? Like Sex and the City season 1, 22 episodes.
Like every sitcom's like, you need 45 in season 1.
God.
Fuck
it's
it,
like 80 hours of sitcom just for season 1 and 2.
Like, I was rewatching, I think during the lockdown, like Cheers, and I'd seen the whole thing, but I know one of the guy who literally wrote the pilot, I think helped create it, Ken Levine. He's like a mentor. He's a friend, really good friends with one of my mentors. And I love that show. It's so well written. And I was like, let me rewatch Cheers entirety, because, we love female leads too. They fucking kill it on that show. I mean, Shelley,
hello,
Kirstie Alley, all that goodness. So I was going to watch it again. Oh, I mean, in real life, yeesh,
cuckoo bananas, but still.
Cuckoo. But yeah, watching that was like, Jesus, the first season was 20 to 30, and the second season like 20 to, like, I'll never finish the show. I mean, it's incredible.
I remember like Freaks and Geeks. I remember that. First of all, wow. I will fight you. The pilot of that show is the most perfect pilot ever made. It is like an hour long, and it could end right there, and you have the whole story. It's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
But I always thought that show was on TV for years and years and years and years. It had 2 seasons.
I know, and there's more content than like any show.
It's like 20 episodes.
Like, I think The Bear latest season is 10, and it's like, to me, one of the best shows right now. And I'm like, wow, I'm so shocked that, that's just how much they do. And that's a half-hour show. Sometimes it's longer. Now, that's what I love about shows though like this. So even with the 6 episode, it doesn't say duration, I don't believe. So what I do love about that is, like, just like Succession, just like The Bear, there's episodes that are like a movie, and there's episodes that are like 45. You know what I mean? There's episodes that are like an hour and 20. So we can still get away with a lot. I think the point is, though, at least we have a number here to work with.
And I think
right. And I think showing that some shows that will go for it and do have the budget, like Ryan Murphy or anything like that, they'll go 12, and they'll see that they're still profitable, and they'll see that this still works. So go for it. Yeah. That's what I see from this.
Also, duration of employment is another one that's really kind of egregious, that there was a refusal to make a counter from the AMPTP. Like they rejected and did not make a counter. And that the ask was minimum staff guaranteed of at least 10 consecutive weeks. So they're saying, if you hire us to write a show, please give us 10 weeks to do the work at bare minimum, which to me seems perfectly fair. If you have 3 to 5 people in a room writing a show, 10 weeks feels so fair at the very bare minimum to make a show that's going to make you millions of dollars. So Can you
imagine getting paid for 10 weeks and then you're like, bye, oh, we're gonna make millions now, bye.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Here's a cheese sandwich.
Here's a cheese
writers on staff must get at least 3 weeks 3 weeks per episode up to a max of 52 weeks. So all they're asking is a full-time job. Half the minimum staff must be employed through production. One writer must be employed through post. Which makes total sense, but that was what the AMPTP completely rejected and would not counter. And Sarah, if you would give us what we have now tentatively agreed on.
Literally, they pretty much got what they wanted. They got 10 consecutive weeks of work on television, HBS VOD series. So they got television and HBO. That's great. In post greenlit rooms, the minimum staff must be guaranteed at least 20 weeks of the duration of the post greenlit room, whichever is shorter. Weeks worked in pre greenlit room may be credited against the 20-week guarantee. Writers in production for single camera shows made and filmed in the US or Canada. See, we still have a lot more power in these places. That's why I brought up in that episode that we probably will never air. Eastern Europe needs help with these union things, and we're trying to get that done right now. Company must hire 2 writer producers for the lesser of 20 weeks. Love that. Along with the showrunner. As an alternative, the showrunner has the option to divide 1 or 2 of the minimum positions among multiple writers. These terms apply when the first episode is written after the 1st of December.
Hey,
so again, I'm seeing that number.
Yep, let's put that in our focal point.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Minimums in post-production, NBA weekly minimums during post. They rejected it.
And they still rejected.
And they still rejected it.
But it says they will continue to pursue arbitration claims for any writer not paid weekly minimums during post. That is, to me, the worst part about this. I agree. That's a big ball drop. But I mean, if they're refusing to make that, and post-production is the only hang on thing, and we got everything else above and beyond what they were willing to, then it's still a win. It sucks to see, and it hurts for those working in post. But if the guild is promising to pursue arbitration claims, then I feel like fine, okay.
And especially too in states like that are not right to work states, so like New York, California, all the states that aren't, the legislation will be on their side, especially 100%. If they sue them and take them to court. If you try to pull this shit in Colorado, in California, in New York, in a lot of these states that are really pro-union, there's absolutely no way they won't get there. Yeah. I know in New York, anyone who sues will probably get what they want. So
yeah. Increase span gap from $400,000 to $450,000. Basic cable to remain at $375,000. Extend span protections to writers on limited series. That was agreed as of May 1st. No change.
Great. No change. Still agreed. Same things with options and exclusivity. Yeah, great. Increase the earnings cap from $325,000 to $350,000. They agreed on the 5/1 and they agreed now. So
yep, no change.
Dope. Now this was such a big one.
This is what we were talking about on our never going to be seen the light of day episode, which sucks because it was so fun.
It was so fun. I mean, we could share that one and then share this one right after.
Sure. Let's talk about that off camera. But I feel like that's probably a thing we can do.
I think that's fine. It's not like we were like saying anything.
Right. Listener, check the episode run to see if it happened or not.
Yeah, check the episode. New residual based on streaming services form and subscriber count. So like if it's less than 20 million, they get 50% for repayment. That's great. 20 to 45 million, 75, 45 to 75 million subs, 100%, more than 75 million, 150. So like, what's so crazy is their response to 50%, like, then they broke it down to smaller markets. That was their response was, hey, love that for you, but we're going to start at 1 million and what you get, 5 million and what you get, more than 45 million, 60%. So that's literally saying all those other numbers that you saw to the left, who cares? You're getting 60%. That didn't happen. Luckily,
that did not happen.
The response, that did not happen. Luckily, if it's less than 20 million, they're still getting 47%, which is almost the cap of what they offered entirely.
I mean,
20 to 45 million, 60. Yeah. 25 to 40, 20 to 45, 60, which is the cap they offered for everything last time.
Right. And now we're going up to 75 million at 90%, and just under that 45 to 75 at 75%. That's a great negotiation on the WGA. I'm actually afraid of writers. I feel like they would show up with pencils and stab you in your jugular. The scrappiness of this, okay, I love.
Cool, but don't try it.
Viewership-based streaming residuals. Establish a viewership-based residual in addition to existing fixed residual to reward programs with greater viewership. Require transparency regarding program views. Fully rejected, refused to counter. And Sarah, where did we land?
Okay, so they actually did counter, and it's good. Okay, so they countered way more specifically, and I think probably the best thing about writers too is while everyone's picketing and getting ready, they're just getting more ideas together and how to counter against you. So it got way more specific. HBS VOD movies and that are viewed by 20% or more of the service's domestic subscribers. So like definitely a lot of the shows that everyone talks about in the first 90 days of release or the first 90 days of any subsequent exhibition year. That's really smart. Get it while it's coming out. Get a bonus equal to 50% of the fixed domestic and foreign residual. For example, for a project written under the 2023 MBA, the bonus would be equal to $9,031 for a half-hour episode, $16,415 for a one-hour episode, $40,000 in a streaming feature over $30 million in budget. This bonus structure takes effect for projects released on or after January 1st. We're seeing a lot of like December, Jan. Companies
I love
agree.
This
now,
part.
This is the part that really gets me going, gets me
Same.
all hot and bothered. Companies agree to provide the guild, subject to confidentiality, the total number of hours streamed, both domestically, internationally, or self-produced high-budget streaming programs. Example, a Netflix original series. That's because they're the worst. Aggregated information can be shared. This is something that the actors, we have asked for.
Yes.
Okay, fine. If you don't want people to know out there how many people watch your shit, because you're either like, I don't want people to think it's that much and like what, or I don't want people, and you get our money, or we don't want people to see that no one's watching this other shit that we're putting money into that like someone's uncle who's a CEO liked. Okay. You can't be like that. You have to show at least us privately, because that's how we determine our worth. If you don't tell us how many people are watching a certain thing, us, the actors that are supposed to be paid, the writers, the creators, all that other shit, then you're fucking stupid. That's so rude and not
so
cool.
Rude.
Like,
and
it's rude.
I actually like, I know this gets your goat, but I think this kind of gives hope in the negotiation front for SAG-AFTRA, because
100%.
if they're negotiating this with WGA, then they absolutely have to kowtow to SAG-AFTRA for this item as well, because like why would they do one and not the other?
Not to insinuate WJ does anything below the belt or not legal, but if they know, we'll probably know too.
We're going to find out too.
So
yeah,
a lot of us are dual members. So bye. Anyway,
bye.
Oh girl, bye.
All right. Ad supported free streaming services. High budget programs made for AVOD get TV weeklies and script fees and improved residuals.
So VOD is video on demand.
Yes.
Yeah. VOD is videos on demand, just for everybody. That's basically all streaming. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So WGA, that was their original proposal in May. It was rejected and refused to make a counter. So now we have high budget made for AVOD programs get the same initial compensation as HBS VOD programs. Article 14, weekly rates and networking primetime or basic cable script fees depending on budget tier. 2% residual for AVOD reuse. That's great.
That's great. Now there's something happening for free streaming services, ad supported but free streaming services. Yes. That was something they just would not even address. They're like, okay, cool. Wait, so if my show gets put on Plex TV, please watch Dr. C, it's on Plex TV. And they're playing ads. Wait, now I don't have to get paid for giving you my content, and you're making money off ads, or I don't have to have like any say. Bitch,
that's so stupid.
Dummy, dumb, stupid, dumb. P&H, that's pension and health. Okay, now we're in the pension health thing. This is what people's retirement is. This is what people need to, not only after they're done working, to have money for themselves so they can retire like a normal fucking person. I'm sorry that people think that's so crazy, but it's literally not. Luckily, everything's been agreed upon. The WGA option to divert 0.5% of negotiated minimums increases to pension health fund in 2 years and 3 in the MBA. So it's slowly increasing as agreed.
Great. I'm confused by this next item under the health fund.
Okay.
Like
under the health
increased health fund. Increased health fund contribution rate by 1%, extended healthcare coverage for 1/4 for writers who lose coverage due to the strike. And just says not available.
I think that means that NA, they had no response. I mean, some of the things they won't make a counter, but there's some where they open. I think there's ways that they cannot reject. They just haven't. This tells me that on May 1st, they didn't even get to it. They probably said no previously. Do you know what I mean? Because not the first time they met was not May 1st.
Okay.
They met previously. We're seeing like their initial, like, because they've been on strike for a while.
Right.
So I don't know if that was the initial time, or maybe they didn't get to it on that session, or they just avoided discussing it. I'm not sure, because there's certain things that I think in our negotiating room they got to, but maybe they didn't have an answer yet for us. But the negotiation fell apart before we could come to any sort of agreement, whether it's a rejection or a, you know.
But what we landed on sounds great.
Yes.
They said yes.
Either way. Yeah, they said yes. They increased the health fund contribution by 0.5 in the second year of agreement from 11.5 to 12. So that's half what they asked, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they extended healthcare coverage for 1 quarter for writers who lose coverage due to the strike. Interesting. Now these writers that were striking will be covered.
Funny that.
Lure. And also SAG-AFTRA to take note. We need to be on this. So
for real.
Yeah. And then there's teams. Each member of a team gets pension and health contributions they were writing as an individual. They rejected that. They were like, "No, bitch, you don't get pension and health."
Wouldn't even counter.
Well, guess what? Each member of the team gets pension and health fully as if they were writing as an individual. Each member of the team gets contributions up to the contribution cap for individual writers, and each member of the team must be paid contributions on the full weekly minimum. That's a huge get. Yeah. So holla.
But this next one I am so into. So this is the artificial intelligence line item, and we are asking the WGA. I keep saying the royal we, like I'm part of the WGA, but like maybe one day, hopefully. So WGA asked, regulate use of artificial intelligence on MBA covered projects. AI can't write or rewrite literary material, can't be used as source material, and MBA covered material can't be used to train AI. And the AMPTP rejected that proposal and countered by offering annual meetings to discuss advancements in technology.
Oh, what a stupid...
What a whole... Well, we're not going to say yes to that, but we'll make it look like we're gonna not do
we're gonna do it long. And then in our weekly our monthly meetings we're gonna act like what, or we're gonna be like,
not even monthly, annual, like once a year they get to be like
year, we're gonna say, do you want any cookies? Cool, bye. Like,
right, thank you. And then they just won't show up. But what we landed on, and this is so great, is regulated use of artificial intelligence I can't read. Regulated use of artificial intelligence on MBA covered projects. AI-generated written material is not considered literary material, source material, or assigned material under the MBA. AI is not a writer under the MBA. Writer can elect to use AI when performing writing services if company consents and provided writer follows applicable company policies. Company cannot require writer to use AI software like ChatGPT when performing writing services. Company must disclose to writer if any material given to writer has been generated by AI or incorporates AI-generated material. Guild reserves the right to assert that exploitation of writers' material to train AI is prohibited by MBA or other law.
Wow.
So they basically said, fuck no, and fuck around and find out.
Yeah, they literally got everything they asked for and more. It's so incredible because it benefits the writers immensely, this obviously, and it also benefits everyone as a whole. I mean, what I loved was like, AI is not a writer. It's literally borrowing. What the fuck? It's not
stealing and taking.
Real.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, there's so many examples of that in so many things that we see on the internet today. There's like these stupid videos on like YouTube and TikTok that are like, what if the best scientist was John F. Kennedy Jr. when he discovered, and it's just not real. And it's using like imagery that doesn't matter, and there's no fact checking. And it's like, bro, this isn't even reality.
This is clickbait.
You'll see. Yeah, there's actually, I think this is really funny. There was like a archaeology museum. I think it was like in one of the big cities. I can't remember what. And they had a thing about some rapier, some ancient dagger. But because they had AI obviously write it, it literally was from a D&D handbook. It's like, so this is the dagger from the blah, blah, blah. If you roll 20 and then add a modifier for your dexterity. You'll be able, and everyone's like everyone's on the website like, what the fuck is that to do with Mesopotamia, bitch? I don't know what the hell, but that's what I mean. The thing just borrows. It just borrows from other things. It's not it's not clever. It's not creative. Stop.
Well, and I would like to follow up that by saying that there was a lawsuit from Katy Perry suing AI for, or no, sorry, it wasn't Katy Perry. It was Sarah Silverman. No, same person. Same person.
California Silverman.
Right. California, fuck.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what happened with that and where that litigation lies, especially now with this stipulation within the WGA or tentative agreement, to see if that's the language that we're using against AI, that like, you're not a writer, you're not a creator, you're begging, borrowing, and stealing. Then I'm curious what precedent that sets for the Sarah Silverman case.
There's a big media company that I know someone very closely who's in that company, that media company is suing. ChatGPT is suing a couple AI companies because they'll write articles on really big things. And then when you use those robots or use anything, they're just ripping from their headlines, their articles, their whatever. And they're not even, are they doing that, but they're jumbling it up. It doesn't really, it doesn't work. It's just like, I get the whole point of it. Look, if you have a shitty landlord and you're tired of being like, fuck you, bro, there's still rats in the basement. Sure, you don't want to type that letter up, but not in a creative field, not in a field where, and not in a field also that's factually has to be checked. You can't be writing like, remember when this happened? It's like, no, stop.
That's
like this didn't happen.
No, it's good, and it's also like, by using that language, it is securing writers' jobs for the foreseeable future instead of replacing them with computers. And I do, and we've talked about this before, I do like that they are acknowledging that this is technology that exists and can be a useful tool. And if you want to use it, fine, but you need to be transparent about that usage on both ends, from the writer end and the producing end of things. That like, go ahead and use it, but you have to let us know, because like we were talking about just now, that opens you up to new liabilities.
Right. Like in Rebel 1, when they used what's his face who had passed away as Moff Tarkin, and they did like a CGI version of him. We had to get the okay. They have to get the okay from the family. They have to give the money to the estate. We understand that the technology exists. We're not saying it doesn't exist or it doesn't sometimes look not crazy, but you have to be able, if we're going to utilize it, we do need to utilize it in a way that helps the creatives as well, because that's what built this
and is ethical, like by you said, paying the estate, pay the people, like if like, and then have and have parameters on its usage. None of this perpetuity shit. None of this scan me and use me in perpetuity, like unless you're going to give me,
guys, that's non-union bullshit. Don't listen to that.
It is, but also like, if you're going to do that, I want $50 million right now. Like, scan me and use the shit out of me. I don't care what you do. I want $50 million right now. And speaking of money, the estimated value of this deal originally was $429 million.
What they
the AMPTP estimated their offers at $86 million, which is embarrassing,
generous
in comparison
what they were asking.
Yes, but the comparative agreement as of now, as of September 27th, 2023, is $233 million, which is still $200 million less than they originally had asked for, but it is not $86 million. It is way higher.
And for them to estimate for the estimation of that deal, the middle deal, to be 86, I think is very generous, because there's so many things on here they flat out aren't going to do, so weren't going to do as of May 1st. But now, this is good shit. This just shows we mean business. I also think it sets that's the last one. I think it also sets a precedent that don't fuck with the writers anymore. Stop doing it. It's really getting old. Like, don't do it, or they will do the same shit again. Stop.
Yeah, and I think we said this on the episode that shall not be named. That like there needs to be, and I kind of agree in the AMPTP point that they made about having annual meetings, but I think that should be in addition to everything here. We do need to check in on technological advancements. We do need to talk about what's going on in tech world, because we're not functioning in Hollywood studios the way that we used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago. These are now tech companies that are utilizing creativity to make money. So if tech is going to advance in the way that we're seeing now, all of this agreement, and hopefully in short order the SAG-AFTRA agreement, then we need to have yearly check-ins, not only with our unions, but the AMPTP and other producing entities that are making content at the behest and the hands of other creatives. Because if we let this go as long as we have, again, this is just going to happen again, and it's going to get worse. So there has to be a check-in. There has to be accountability from all sides to make sure that all this keeps in check.
And something I didn't even notice was that pretty much they're not saying any of this covers until it's ratified by their body, but also December and then January. So I think that's very telling, though, because they have to implement this. These things don't just like go out and then every studio follows it. You have to make sure everything is covered, checked, and balanced, because that's the thing about a contract. It holds you liable if you do something about it, but you have to make sure they're following protocol. And, you know, that's why SAG reps exist. That's why the guilds exist, to monitor. So I kind of like that they're saying December, January, because it gives it time to start being implemented into the industry. And now, not to jump. Okay, first off, can we just get an amen for that contract? Get an
amen. And before you say what you're about to say, I do want to tack on to what you were talking about here about like having oversight from the guild and from SAG-AFTRA. I also want to instill a sense of empowerment to people who are on set working in any capacity, that if you see something go awry or that's being done, stop, collaborate, and listen, make a phone call, and like say something about it. Because the unions have fought way too hard for this negotiation for us to just be quiet on set if we see something going like if something's afoot, like empower yourself to say, no, hang on, I'm calling my agent, or no, I'm calling my SAG-AFTRA rep, or WGA, like whatever the case may be, because there's only so much oversight that WGA and SAG-AFTRA can have when you are on site. Like no one's there like hovering over you to make sure everything's 100%. That's on you, unfortunately.
Facts.
Because it has to be on you, because not everyone on set is going to be 100% abiding by everything all the time. So like we all know that we let some things slide, we don't sometimes, like, but speak up if this shit makes you uncomfortable or unhappy.
Yeah, I actually have a story about so somebody messaged me and they were like, hey, I run a production studio. I work there. Like I'm one of the managers of the studio. And I've noticed there's a movie being shot here, but I don't think it's interim. And I was like, cool, they're scabbing. He's like, like, okay, what do I do? I was like, email me SAG-AFTRA strike. It's SAG-AFTRA.org and do it. And they were like, yeah, done. And so they told on them. The union came in. I think some producers are no longer attached because they're dumb fucks. And the ones that wanted to play ball are, and now it's an interim thing.
I love it.
So we took it.
Great.
So my thing is like, even sometimes and there's some I'm sure that told and then just lost everything, and that's fine. But my point is that that had union actors in it and everything. Do you know what I mean? It was like not just a movie being made. It had talent that was attached that's scabbing and stuff like that. So we had to deal with that. But my point is that, I mean, I didn't deal with it, but they dealt with it. But my point is that it's never pays to be a scab, but also to be a pre-member, which is like what I like to call non-union. Pre-members, we want you in the union. Obviously, we want you to follow the rules and the protocols, but like, please help us help you. I know that we can't cover you because you aren't a guild member yet, but if you want to be a guild member, seriously, let us know when something isn't safe so we can help. So we can get maybe something that maybe you're attached to, make it union, and then you get union status from it. You never know.
Get involved.
We're all in this together. We're not just here to slap your little wrist. That's not what SAG-AFTRA is for. They're easy to work with, harder to fight. That's really our motto. So we're not going to not pay attention, but we are going to pay attention and handle it in the best way possible. And if everyone has the best interest, things can be worked out. That's what always kills me too. It's like people are scared to, tell and or call the union when something is off. Like it's going to hurt them. When in reality, it's like, it's hurting everyone. This is even happening. Yeah. It hurts the industry. It's happening.
And of course, all of that is by design. That whole like, you're replaceable, you're a dime a dozen talk has been put in place for decades for the sole purpose of making the creative person quiet and compliant, so that the people at the top can take advantage of them. And like, I think, again, this is why I'm like, feel empowered to do these things, because again, these strikes, we've, you know, SAG-AFTRA and WGA have been fighting too hard for you to stay silent now. Like we like, they have fought for these things for you. And so like, don't keep your mouth shut anymore. Like, speak up, say things. Hello.
Talk. Let us know. Help us help you. So yeah, there's such a good outcome for like a very long fought. Yeah, I think it was 142 days or something like that. A very long fought strike. We're well into the double digits. We're getting towards the triple, us at SAG-AFTRA. So my addendum onto this is claps for the WGA. Also, this gives us hope that our agreement will be equally as good. Honestly, we have the interim agreement, and it is cleaning their asses. The interim agreement has now over 1,000 productions.
That's crazy.
That's 1,000 productions that aren't associated with the AMPTP.
And they're not making a cent off of them.
Facts.
They're just, I mean, A24 just released another thing today.
Yes, I know.
I was like, killing it, girl.
That's all it is. But yeah, no, they're great. And I think my friend who used to be on the board, she's a stunt person. She's incredible. Natasha Bambray. She's fantastic. She wrote a status the other day that I thought really summed it up, which was both saying like, this is fucking sickening. Now SAG-AFTRA. Okay. This is before everything was released. So I give her credit if she doesn't know everything. This is before the Writers Guild, everything came out. I hope the WGA got everything they want. They led the charge and held fast for it. It sounds like there is pressure to ratify in days. That's telling. Usually these things are done over weeks. Saving the TV season and the summer blockbusters is now critical to the studios. They saved cash for their debtors and used force majeure to lower costs further. But it all worked out for the WGA timeline. But SAG-AFTRA now has an interim agreement with over 1,000 projects queued up. So when we go back and negotiate, we should not take 1 penny less than what is in the interim agreement, or else we should not do a deal at all with the studios. So we already have an agreement that is functioning fully and it has everything that we asked for that A24 is also doing. So she's bringing up a good point. The writers didn't have an agreement that was properly being used yet. We have one that not only is properly being used, but has already had people sign on, like Neon, huge, A24. They've had their time to become the new majors. Let them have even more time, and let the desperate entities, the AMPTP, each decide their priorities and adopt the interim, now permanent agreement at the right time for them. Maybe this is what Hollywood needs, a shakeup of the most powerful structure. Maybe the most visible union in the business should be the one to see this through, because if we will all be doomed to repeat this again if we don't. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's something to really consider. Like, I'm not in the negotiating committee. I am on the board. I can only, well, that's not true. We make the decisions, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to negotiating, that's the negotiating committee, who I support fully, who are a bunch of fighters. Fran Drescher, hello, Duncan Crabtree, Ireland, all these little boo-boos, love them to death. So I think she's right though in saying we are even more ready to not say yes to anything that they say unless it literally is what 100% we are asking for, because we have a working agreement now that is shown not only to work, but that other studios are already doing. And I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, 100%.
Just my 2 cents, for that.
Well, I love your 2 cents. And this has been an intense episode, although great. And I'm so glad that we got a chance to kind of go through item by item and spell it out. And I very much look forward to the day when we can do that for SAG-AFTRA as well.
I agree. I can't wait to get the money.
Take your 2 cents and put the money on the table.
You're so rich.
Pay me.